All right, welcome to the Key Messages Workshop. Thanks everybody for coming along. Obviously, my name is Ruth Jelly. I'm the Instructional Design Advisor within the Digital Experience team. What we're going to be working on today, well, first of all, before we get started, you can access this PowerPoint slide presentation on Unite. If you want to, hopefully you should all receive that email. So if you want to follow along alone, then you are more than welcome to do that. I've also got some live meeting notes that you can access on meetingnotes.com, which is on this webpage here. Here we go. So if we wanted to just start typing, obviously my typing skills while standing up aren't best. So you can follow this link and start doing that there, or you can take your own notes on your laptop or whatever pen and paper that you brought with you. I'm not fussed with either of those options. Okay. So what we hope, I just wanted to go over a quick overview of the project that we are running within the digital experience team in learning and teaching and also in research. So we have one group here who is working on, is going to produce a video to promote my publications and announce that the process of that to academics around the institution or academics and researchers, that includes students as well. We're intending that to be quite a short timeline. So the development will be done quite quickly in-house, and then we'll be outsourcing that production through a video company. The next project that we've got working on is an interactive tool or online module to help students develop skills for using Medline and CINAHL databases. That's also going to be worked on intensively in-house, initial development being worked on in-house, and then outsource production. Oh, sorry, we were hoping to actually get a casual employee to come in and do the production and development side of that project for us. We are also developing an interactive or online module on how to read and find case citations in the law faculty, sorry, the law school, and that will be in-house development with outsourced production. And the fourth project that we are engaging in is an interactive module to develop annotated bibliography skills. And that's going to be quite a long-term project for us. We're hoping sort of 6 to 9 months. And we're hoping to really break outside of the box with that and really get some creative ideas going. So there's going to be a lot of in-house development and brainstorming and contemplating a lot of inventive options. So what do all of these projects have in common? They've all got a specific purpose that they're trying to communicate a number of messages to their audiences. And defining those messages early today will help to keep those projects on course. So our intended learning outcomes for today's workshop, hopefully by the end of this workshop, you will be able to identify and describe communication objectives, or key messages of the resource that you're developing. Also to write a description of the purpose of the resource that you're developing, and also to identify how the resource will be used to contribute to achieve student learning outcomes and improving the student experience through learning activities and assessments. That's quite a mouthful. And also that by the end of this workshop, you'll begin to outline the shape or the narrative of the resource that you are developing. Any questions so far? No? All right, on to our first little activity. So some of you might be familiar with the range of resources that were developed by the e-learning team late last year. And I just wanted to show you one of these at the moment. If you just give me a moment to click a few things. We're up here now. Where's my mouse gone? Here we go. We'll go back to the beginning. Now, unfortunately, we haven't got audio piped out through the room here. We're missing a bit of an audio cable at the moment, so you'll have to listen quite intently to the speakers from the laptop. Very high tech. Yeah, yeah, feel free to, yeah, thanks, Mita. That's a great idea. Just those two switches there. Yep. Okay.
not one of us?
Oh, what? Why?
Have you not read the sign?
I still don't get it.
I suppose you don't know who we are. We're a group of journals committed to research and advancing knowledge in our fields. It takes a lot of work to become one of us. You're in a different club. Popular magazines are written to entertain and focus on current events.
Do you mean the one that says trade professionals?
Our trade professional journal friends over there are an interesting bunch. They are journals focused on a specific industry, trade, or business, such as architecture, marketing, or plumbing. They are great for information on trends, developments, products, and services. And then there is our newspaper friends who deliver daily news and current events. The club you want is next door.
I still don't know what makes you so special.
In our club, journal articles are written by experts such as academics. Students love using us because their lecturers sometimes ask them only to use peer-reviewed or scholarly journals. Our articles have been reviewed by experts before being accepted for publication. Our work is reliable and high quality. We're used by students to get better marks in their assignments.
Oh, wow! How do students find you?
Students can find peer-reviewed or scholarly articles by looking for peer-reviewed or scholarly as a filter option in the library search tool or database. We are all very similar. You can spot one of us by some key features of our articles. Our content is structured. We usually have an abstract, an introduction, a literature review, methods, results, a conclusion, and references. The author's credentials are mentioned. We're written with vocabulary unique to a subject area, and we're unbiased in our point of view. It's not always obvious if an article is scholarly or peer-reviewed. If in doubt, ask Trobe.
All right. So, in your groups there, I would like you to summarise at least one key message from that video in 25 words or less. So get together and you can use whatever, you pick a scribe amongst you and somebody else to perhaps read it aloud if we've got time to go around the tables. Off you go. Okay, so taken from the original brief, this is what some of the key messages were that were in the original brief that was provided to the development company last year, just so you've got an idea of the sort of things that we're going to be working towards. So by the end of this workshop today, you should be comfortable with producing at least one statement, possibly a couple of statements in relation to the resource that you're going to be developing. So I just thought that'd be a nice little exercise to get us into that little frame of mind. Are you okay if I move on from here, everybody? Good. Now, the important thing to take into consideration when you are developing key messages is to consider your audience. It's a very important part of any communication. So remember who you are targeting and accommodate their experiences. Now, by and large, most of the people in this room are going to be targeting students within the Trobe University community. Yes, there is a group in here that's working on targeting researchers, which is a different group altogether. We will come to that in a moment, but bear with me for a moment. We're just going to talk about students. So just to give you a snapshot, this is actually taken from a document that should be familiar to you all. Does everybody have or have seen the Future Ready document? Okay, this graph is on page 7 if you want to have a look in your own time. So to give a snapshot of the La Trobe University audience, you can get some student statistics through the intranet as well, for those of you who are really keen on stats and figures. But just to highlight a few things here, the university is targeting growth in particular categories. I know it's quite small to read there, just give me a moment to talk about it. So what the university is aiming to do is to increase certain population groups within the university, increase diversity amongst the student population. There will be more students overall, there will be more students at regional campuses, more students from disadvantaged backgrounds, and more students who are high-performing entrants to the university. If anybody's heard of the Hallmark program, that's targeting that as well. What does that mean for us? Well, also, is everybody familiar with the acronym EFTSL, Equivalent Full-Time Study Load? That means it's a way of averaging the student population and taking into account full-time students and part-time students. So there are actually, even though that says that the target is to go towards 33,000 equivalent full-time study students, there are actually many more individual students in that headcount. So if you took, say, 3 part-time students whose enrolment actually brings them up to total 1 full-time study load, they counted as 1 person or 1 student, but they are actually 3 different individual people. So just to explain that. So overall, when I was talking about diversity in the student population, we're looking at expanding on our 2011 baseline data, more regional students, up to 7,300 students on our regional campuses. More students from low socioeconomic backgrounds, which is designated by postcode. So 20% of the student population will come from low SES backgrounds. From 7.1% of the student population to 12% of our student population to be high achieving students, and more international students, so from over 4,000 up to 6,000 international students. So within this, there are going to be differing levels of proficiency in digital literacy skills when they start. And our job is to provide students with access to information and digital literacy skills. And we need to make sure that we've got better ways to reach all students. And e-learning is a tool that we can use to help us. So imagine how it is that we are going to improve the standardisation of digital literacy skills among that diverse student population. We need to reach all students, and that is not something that can be done face-to-face, 33,000 equivalent full-time students. Do you reckon we can do that face-to-face in the library? I don't think so. You don't think so. Nobody thinks so. That's why we're working in the online environment. So we need to develop some high-quality e-learning methods and resources to help us play this important role in the university population. So, got a little role play activity for you all. Stay in the groups that you're in at the moment. Now you're going to, within your groups, you're going to allocate 1 person as a scribe, 1 person as the person to report back to the group. Now, group 1, you are actually going to be student 1. Sorry, actually, we'll go from A to F. So pause group here. You're going to be student 1, who is, let me flip through my notes here, returning to study after a medium to long experience in the workforce. So if you've got access to the PowerPoint slide, if you can click on the link for student 1, that's where your notes are going to be. And student 2, that one there as well. So what I want you to achieve throughout this activity is to note down some reasonable assumptions about the student. How will this affect the communication? How are you going to communicate to that student? And we'll keep it in the context of the video that we've just watched as well. What can you assume about their existing knowledge about scholarly journals? And what sort of access would they have to informal study support? So those are 3 things I want you to look at. That's really good work, people. These students are actually real students that I worked with last year on the Snapshot Journal. They are all women, actually, mostly because it was, you know, the nature of the publication itself. It lended for, you know, for people who were a bit more motivated. There was a lot of encouragement from their lecturers to get involved, but this particular student was so highly motivated. She got published in both. She was enrolled in both subjects that were using the journal last year, so she's got published twice. You can actually go and have a look at these publications online through the trobe.edu.au/snapshot, and then you can have a look at all of their work. And you were quite right with the language difficulties that, so this is Victoria Graham is student number 3. Student number 2 is Josephine. And she did have, you were quite right in what you were saying about her vocabulary and using the same, she had a particular turn of phrase, and the way she used language was quite specific. I would also imagine that not having any access to family support networks would be a significant issue for Josephine. A lot of the research about low SES students indicates that one of the significant barriers to success for students is a lack of somebody to tell you how to do university. Obviously, Josephine's made it to 3rd year. She's done really well for herself, given her background, and she is motivated because of her attitude. But that's not to say that there aren't issues, and she hasn't struggled to get to where she is. And with Evelyn, Evelyn was a delightful mature student. You're bang on about her. She wasn't very comfortable with technology. She managed to work her way through the snapshot system, which isn't always intuitive from a user perspective. And she did have, it seemed to me that she possibly had adult children, but was still studying part-time. I couldn't get a measure on whether she was working or not. But some of the factors that affect students' engagement with university, which is some of the things that we're talking about with how we communicate to them, is whether or not they're working. They might just be, checking their emails or logging into LMS just when they get an update or something. And so you have to be quite aware about how it is that you are trying to reach them. Put yourself in their shoes. And that's, actually imagine, like I said with this group, imagine the student that you've just been writing about. You probably have met them, in a face-to-face session. You know who they are. Remember who they are as people. And when you are creating resources, actually use that personal and emotional experience and bring that into your work. It will benefit you and the students as well. The next activity, I would like you to actually get into your project groups. And I'll just show you what I would like you to write a profile of the audience that you're targeting within your project. So I want you to consider, are you dealing with a specific group or a broad group? This will actually have ramifications for how you deliver your message and what message it is that you're delivering to them. What are the commonalities of their diverse backgrounds? So you might have a wide range of all these students. The commonality is that they're motivated. What other commonalities are there? And what do they already know? What can you safely assume about your audience? So if you'd like to jump up, move around, you're welcome to break out into the next room, next door, if you'd like to for this activity. I'll give you 10 minutes. So we are going to move on now. I need you to start working. So you've got 15 minutes now to start working on your key messages as for your project in your group. So take what you know about your audience and start noting down what are the 2 or 3 or 4 things that your students or your research community need to hold on to after they've finished with your resource, either after watching the video or after completing the tutorial. So we're looking at the end of the picture. Don't worry about what it is actually in between, particularly if you're working on a big project where you don't know exactly what steps they're going to be taking to get to the end. I want you to see the end. What do you want them to remember when they get up to go and make a cup of tea? You're more than welcome to set up your own meeting words. So if you just clicked on the banner up here, you can create your own meeting words. If you just click on the banner up the top there, it should open up a new create a public pad. Can I watch as she types in? Yep. But she'll have to share that pad with you, so she can email the link to you perhaps. So that's how it's done. That was our peer review of the key messages element. What I will ask you to do is to check out your project schedules over the next few days. And if you feel that your key messages are ready for me to have a look at, then give them to me either later today or tomorrow. I won't be in the office again until Monday the 13th. So if it's not ready by the end of tomorrow, you've got all of Easter and all of next week to keep workshopping your key messages. If you want some help, just let me know. We can sit down together as a group and start finalising them. that's the point of collaborative work. Now, just one more final activity before we leave today, just a little, to just bring it all to a nice little full stop at the end. In your groups, I'd like you to write just a simple statement to describe what the picture of success is for your resource. So it would be that your statement starts with that whoever your audience is has the skills to do whatever it is you want them to do, and follow the process required, for example, to achieve whatever the outcome is that you want for them. And if you want some bonus points, you can go as far as saying and know where to go for revision. So I'll give you 5 minutes to work on that, and then we can wrap up and head off. All right, thanks everybody for your time today. Obviously, remember to finish off your key messages. I've given you all the dates when I'm around. If you've got any questions, you want to sit down and talk about anything at all, just give me a buzz. I'm around usually Mondays, Tuesdays and Fridays, but Easter's a bit weird. So that's all I'll say about that. Thanks very much for your time. Thank you. And for those of you who are watching along at home on screen, thanks very much for persisting this far through the video. And I will get that up online as soon as possible. Thanks.